It's Wednesday. That means Kel Richards here, actually live at the desk with me. You love him, I love him. Great to be with him. Kel, nice to be with you in person.
Great to be here on the desk together. Great to chat.
Hey, we get a lot of words from readers and listeners. They send us things in your website indirectly to Sky News. One, I think that's turned up because of issues with Her Majesty and debate about that, but also in the case of Tony, reading through all the documents about the Uluru Statement of the Heart, he says the word sovereignty comes up all the time. What does it actually mean?
It is interesting, isn't it? Because what Tony said to me in the email that I got, that he'd read, actually gone to the Uluru Statement from the Heart, and he said the word I keep reading is sovereignty, that it was the First Nations people, as the document says, that had original sovereignty over the Australian continent and the adjacent islands, and that has never been ceded, never been surrendered, never been defeated, and still exists and is now co-held. They have co-sovereignty with the Crown. Now, that's a big claim because sovereignty means ultimate authority, supreme authority. So that's what the Queen was. She was the supreme authority. That's what Charles III is. He's the supreme authority. They're claiming that kind of supreme authority. So it's a claim that it's not the case that the Australian continent and the adjacent islands belong to the people of Australia, but only some of the people of Australia, they have supreme authority. So people have to talk about that in this discussion.
Well, we'll stay on this theme. Chris from Hurstville says, help us, what's the difference between ethnicity and race?
Ethnicity is to do with culture, race is to do with genetic characteristics. So if you look at all of the major dictionaries, they all say it's genetic characteristics such as skin pigmentation, things of that sort. So that's what's being claimed here. There is a claim that there's one particular race in Australia, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, who want something which other people don't have embedded in the Constitution. It may well be if they'd said we would like a voice to Parliament and pass some legislation, because that's happened with other advisory bodies in the past. Since 1901 that's been happening. There'd be fewer raised eyebrows. Well, when they say for this specific group of people designated by race, then it should be embedded in the Constitution. And there's this remarkable thing where some commentators have actually said, oh, it's not about race.
Well, it is. That's exactly what it's about.
It's exactly what it's about. How can you dodge that? So they're the kinds of issues that need to be debated.
All right. What about shrinking violet? James wants to know, where's that come from?
It comes from the little flower. It began as a poetic metaphor. Leigh Hunt, the poet and essayist, used it in 1820, and then an American poet about 5 years later. But probably not copying him. Quite possibly it was an expression which was part of the vernacular at the time. And no one has worked out why shrinking violet. I was just thinking about to come in here. Is the violet one of those flowers where if you touch it, the petals close up? If it, I don't know.
I don't know. I'll have to check. I mean, they are dainty. They are petite.
But they mean that kind of shyness, that shrinking away. That's what a shrinking violet is. And it certainly came from the flower.
All right. Let's end where we started, the Credlin era, because King Charles III, the new cipher's gone out. If you're getting mail from Britain, you'll see the cipher now is appearing as a sort of ink mark on letters. But where's Credlin era come from?
I think, I hate to do this.
Beyond Boris Johnson, are you
No, I think it's Carolean.
Oh, there you go. Correct me. That's good.
So Carolean. It comes from the Latin for Charles, which is Carolus. So, and there's been names for ages. The Second Elizabethan age, which has just ended. Before that, the Georgian age, and there were 6 Georges at different times. The Edwardian age, the Victorian age, and so on. And it goes back to Elizabeth I. And as far as I can discover, there was not a named era before Elizabeth I. So Henry was just Henry. There wasn't any. My guess is the Elizabethan age was so distinctive. Age of Shakespeare, Drake, Raleigh, the Spanish Armada, and a queen who reigned so well and for so long. That's why they came up with the idea of naming an era after the monarch.
So good to see him in person. How good is he? He's amazing.